This is Rome, Italy. The Liberian leader leaves the Rome Cavalieri Hotel this morning for a meeting with IFAD boss. And my name is Mamadi Diakite. Welcome to this special report on President Sirleaf's visit to Rome. This presentation centers on the visit to the headquarters of the International Fund for Agriculture Development, President Sirleaf's bilateral engagement with the President of Italy, and her speech at a special program organized by the three Rome-based agencies. At the IFAD headquarters in Rome, the red carpet is ready, and the head of the International Fund for Agriculture Development, Kanayo Mwanzi, is here to welcome President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Ambassador. The Secretary of IFAD, very well, thank you.
And after the welcoming pleasantries, the President, along with Agriculture Minister Chinwe, is led into the IFAD headquarters.
I may wish to have a photograph with our flags.
The International Fund for Agriculture Development is an international financial institution and a specialized United Nations agency dedicated to eradicating poverty and hunger in developing countries. IFAD is among the top multilateral institutions working in agriculture in Africa, where more than half of its financing go into Africa. IFAD has a total membership of 172 countries, and it focuses its support to smallholder farmers and rural entrepreneurs in investing in programs that build their capacity to fight hunger. IFAD strongly believes that sustainable development cannot be imposed from outside any country. This is why IFAD programs are tailored to help make national programs effective.
IFAD is very pleased to have re-engaged with Liberia.
The bilateral meeting with IFAD boss and senior staff is on. For a post-crisis nation like Liberia, developing agriculture is a necessity. This closed-door bilateral meeting is required to mobilize support for agriculture development in Liberia. After little over an hour, the meeting is over. The Liberian leader is here being presented a gift from the President of IFAD. It is time to go. Lots of planned meetings on the itinerary. President Sirleaf has made a case for Liberia as part of her duty as president of a sovereign state.
Do you wish to follow me?
But a little more of talking. The IFAD boss seizes the opportunity to further register his delight to President Sirleaf for the visit and her commitment to agriculture development on the continent. Agriculture Minister Chinwe brought a special gift from the women farmers of Liberia to be presented to IFAD for all its support to agriculture in Liberia. President Sirleaf presents the gift to the President of the International Fund for Agriculture Development.
Place somewhere in your
complete.
Another stop, another visit, and this is another move to strengthen Liberia's presence on the global stage. President Sirleaf is here to meet the President of Italy to resuscitate Liberia-Italy diplomatic relations. She is accorded the opportunity to meet and greet top Italian politicians before meeting the Italian President.
Eccellenza Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Presidente della
Mr. President, my great pleasure to meet you.
La presentazione è già stata
Grazie.
And the two presidents of the two independent states are ready for a closed-door bilateral meeting.
Comes to order writing and stuff, will you do your job?
Okay, this is the Kuala Lumpur Palace. It's the executive mansion version of Italy. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is in a bilateral talk with the President of Italy. His name is Giorgio Napolitano. The intent of this meeting is to mobilize, as usual, international support.
After an hour and a half tete-a-tete, President Sirleaf leaves the Kuala Lumpur Palace and is here being accorded an appropriate guard of honor. In a chat with President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at her hotel in Rome, she gives me an overview of the interaction she had with the Italian president.
With the President of Italy is mainly to recall the historical relationships between our two countries, that in the period of our conflict, we lost this favored relationship. Many of Italian private companies did a lot of construction work in Liberia, and we, again, was to encourage them to re-engage. Again, was to say that we know that today Liberia is not one of Italy's favored nations, but we feel this is a way to start the whole process. Let's put it, first of all, they reminded us that today Italy itself is going through some very difficult times. And so they need to also respond to the same problems we have, like youth unemployment. It would take them time to get their growth up to where it ought to be. But there's something they want to think about. They particularly thought that they could be useful in encouraging private companies, to take a look at Liberia. And I think it was pointed out later on that there is an Italian construction company that's now constructing the central bank building. Mm-hmm. That maybe that could be used as an entry point for other Italian companies to follow suit.
Thank you. We're going right in.
Third stop of the day at the World Food Program headquarters in Rome, and President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is being led by the Executive Director of the WFP, Ms. Estarin Cousin.
Okay, this is our wall to those who we've lost by humanitarian assistance. And it was always challenging to realize that these are humanitarians. These people did die in WFP to they need the same us, and they gave their lives. And this wall is getting much too big. It is always important to us to remember. So I was talking to Princess Hyatt. I was with Princess Hyatt in Dubai, and she told me that she was recently refused to spend together.
3 of the United Nations specialized agencies are headquartered in Rome, and they are called the Rome-based agencies. The 3 agencies are the World Food Program, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and the International Fund for Agricultural Development. The Rome-based agency are holding a special program in honor of President Johnson Sirleaf under the theme Getting Ready for the Post-2015 Development Agenda. President Johnson Sirleaf is here to deliver a keynote speech and interact with the audience. The Rome-based agency are taking advantage of the opportunity of the visit of President Sirleaf to get her to address the membership of the agencies and share her vision in her capacity as co-chair of the high-level panel on eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda. The 3 Rome-based agencies have been actively supporting member states and other key actors in identifying and articulating critical issues related to food security, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture in the new post-2015 development agenda. They continue to highlight the central importance of these issues in the overall agenda and continue to offer collective expertise in the post-2015 framework. Ms. Cousin, the WFP Executive Director, gets the ball rolling with a special welcome address.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Liberia, Ms. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Vice Minister Lato Pisteli, Madam Chair, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Madam President, on behalf of WFP, FAO, and IFAD, welcome to this Rome-based agency special event on the post-2015 development agenda. We are, needless to say, inspired by your leadership and your vision, both in your role as President of Liberia and as co-chair of the high-level panel of eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda. All of us here today, whether representatives of agencies or member states, will definitely benefit from your counsel and advice during what is nothing less than a critical phase as we transition from the Millennium Development Goals to a new sustainable development agenda. Yes, today we all know what is required to eliminate hunger and malnutrition worldwide. We know that one part of the answer is increasing the agricultural value chain, particularly the development of and access to sustainable and durable market opportunities. But that is only one part of the answer. And that alone, increasing the agricultural value chain, won't solely achieve our shared objective of eliminating hunger and chronic malnutrition worldwide. We know that one part of the answer is equitable inclusion of women and young people. But that is only one part of the answer. And equitable inclusion of women and young people alone won't solely achieve our shared goal of eliminating hunger and chronic malnutrition. We know that eliminating food and agricultural waste is one part of the answer. But that alone is only one part of the answer. And eliminating food and agricultural waste will solely achieve our shared goal. We also know that access to nutritious food all year round is one part of the answer. But we know that access to nutritious food all year round alone won't achieve our shared goal of eliminating hunger and chronic malnutrition. So that on this planet, whatever continent, whether in cities or rural communities, whether rich or poor, our children, the girls and boys born in the next generation, will share an equal opportunity to perform better in school, earn higher wages, enjoy better health, and live his or her life to the fullest potential. Madam President, as you yourself have said so forthrightly, if our dreams do not scare us, they are not big enough. Let us not be afraid. Let us dream big. And let us eliminate for once and for all chronic hunger and malnutrition for everyone. Thank you.
And now is the moment everyone here has been waiting for, the keynote address from Liberia's President Johnson Sirleaf.
It's with great pleasure that I invite to the podium Madam President Johnson Sirleaf.
Thank you. Madam Executive Director, Madam Deputy Director General, Mr. Vice President, Council Chairperson, Senior Management and Staff of the Rome-based agencies, members of the diplomatic corps here present, officials of government, members of the Liberian delegation, representatives of civil society, ladies and gentlemen. I see a few familiar faces around the room and I'd like to greet you and thank you on behalf of Liberia and Africa for your service to our continent. I'm delighted to be back here in Rome and want to thank you, the Rome-based agencies, for inviting me to share some thoughts with you on how we can collectively reflect on getting ready for the post-2015 development agenda. Let me spend a few minutes talking about where we are now in Liberia and in sub-Saharan Africa on the issues of your institutions, World Food Program, Food and Agriculture Organization, International Fund for Agricultural Development, issues on agriculture and food security. Most of you in the room are probably familiar with Liberia's journey. We're grateful for the service you have rendered to us and to our people during our difficult years. We have since moved forward, and we have now gone from crisis to stabilize our situation. Now we can focus on the future, and we want to continue to count on your partnership in our years to come as we restructure our economy, especially agriculture. Clearly, Liberia has indeed turned the page. Dear friends, throughout Africa, agriculture remains a strong socioeconomic sector for job creation, poverty reduction, and income generation. As we all know, it is impossible to speak about agriculture in Africa without highlighting the critical role women play in the sector. African women, as you well know, you're more familiar with it than I am, comprise 70% of sub-Saharan agricultural workers, and 80% of those involved in the food value chain. Therefore, any serious discussion about agriculture and food security must seek to empower women. This means providing them with the means of production as well as the space to market their production. The record on this is clear, as this is one of the surest paths to poverty eradication, to achieving the Millennium Development Goal, particularly Millennium Development Goal number 1,
which aims to halve hunger and extreme poverty by the year 2015. In Liberia, we have made substantial progress since the end of our civil strife. The most recent comprehensive food security and nutrition survey for the year 2012, prepared in collaboration with the World Food Programme and other UN agencies, show that our food insecurity dropped from 41% in 2010 to 36% in 2012. This drop is significant when we remember where Liberia stood a few years ago. However, with fertile land, a youthful manpower, and an abundance of rain, we must do better. This is why our administration has put agriculture and food security at the top of our next 5-year development agenda under our agenda for transformation. This is why food security is a matter of national security. In Liberia, where almost 70% of our population depend on agriculture for their livelihoods, it is this sector, although still very primarily subsistence, that will contribute most to local employment, poverty reduction, food security, and income generation. This is why, as we try to rebuild a country that was totally broken, we emphasize agriculture as a priority area, and under this broad framework, addressing food security and nutrition as a starting point. In this regard, support is being directed at smallholders where the greatest potential for improving and sustaining food security lies. Building on the objectives embodied in government's poverty reduction strategy, the Liberia Agriculture Sector Investment Program was developed and validated, seeking to transform Liberian agriculture within the framework of the Comprehensive African Agriculture Development Program, the CAADP. Our investment provides a framework for progressively increasing government's annual budgetary allocation to the agriculture sector to a minimum of 10% to ensure sustainable annual growth of 6% in compliance with the 2003 Maputo Declaration. The Minister of Agriculture is in the room, and she knows that we have not reached there yet. But with the commitment, the policies and new investment we are putting in place, and in collaboration with our regional and institutional partners, we are committed to making progress. We have launched a special program supported by UN agencies to enhance food security by addressing gaps in the production, processing, and marketing constraints of small farmers, and maintaining predictable and suitable inputs. These measures will not only improve the migration of people from the countryside to the cities, since urban poverty is but one of the results of degradation of our food production and marketing chain. These policies will require substantive investment, and we should try to make the necessary resources available. The overarching objective of the post-2015 development agenda, as we discussed it in the UN high-level panel, and also the common African position that was recently adopted by the African Union, is the total eradication of poverty. To achieve this noble goal, we must look beyond food for survival. One of the key pillars of the African common position is industrialization. In the area of agriculture, it means going from subsistence farming to agribusiness, where farmers will not only be able to feed our nation, but to export their production and generate enough income to break the vicious cycle of hunger and poverty. We have to talk about getting ready for the post-2015 agenda. I would like to say and repeat that while we are looking ahead, while we are drawing strategies and roadmaps on how to move beyond 2015, we still have to strive to complete the MDGs. We have more than a year before the MDGs expire. We can and must make plans for the longer future. We can dream about what we can and what will happen in 10 or 15 years, but we have work to do today. There are many critical aspects of the MDGs that need urgent attention. Our capacity to deal with these issues, to close the remaining gaps, will be a very strong indication of our readiness for 2015. The world is ready for a new agenda, the post-2015 development agenda, which gives due recognition to the changes which have occurred since the year 2000. However, that agenda must be grounded in the realization of the MDGs. There has been much progress, especially in Africa and parts of the globe that were once referred to as the Third World. There are new emerging economic powerhouses. There's new consciousness about human rights and dignity and inequalities. There are new opportunities and challenges. We must take stock of those opportunities and find solutions to the new challenges that are facing us as humanity. One of the major shortcomings of the MDGs was the very low progress made on the goals that deals with global partnership and cooperation. Notwithstanding progress and opportunities in many areas, global partnership still remains where it was almost 15 years ago. This is something we have the capacity to change. There has been much progress in the area of infant and maternal mortality in the past decade, but there too, the work is far from finished because children still die of malnutrition and many women in the world die while giving birth. Although reduced to 40% throughout our continent, malaria, a preventable and curable disease, still kills millions around the world. The new development agenda will require a number of transformative and mutually reinforcing actions that apply to all countries. The past few years of political crisis, economic meltdown, and ever-growing climate change have brought a new sense of universality, where we can no longer look at the world as divided in camps, with poor nations on one side and rich nations on the other. The paradigm shift in our thinking of what constitutes human development and the universality of issues confronting us all will serve as the link that will unite us all in one boat. The world has changed, and that shift must be reflected in the new agenda as we look beyond 2015. In preparation for the post-2015 development agenda, we have crafted what is now known as the African Common Position. A resolve to deliver on our various declarations and commitments on social and economic integration, poverty eradication, and employment generation for our people. The Common African Position aims at reorienting the development paradigm away from externally driven initiatives toward domestically inspired and funded initiatives. The CAP is based on 6 pillars: structural economic transformation, science, technology, and innovation, people-centered development, environmental sustainability, peace and security, and partnership for development. At the core of each pillar is a strong commitment to good governance. These pillars are the indispensable building blocks for an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven and managed by its own people and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. The CAP recognizes that sustainable and equitable development can only be guaranteed when people are the means and the end of the economic growth process, and that Africa is committed to remain focused on pertinent development issues, completing the unfinished MDGs by focusing on areas of education and health, and by responding to the social and economic consequences of Africa's changing democratic structure. The CAP is to reverse Africa's dependence on a cluster of primary commodities, serving as a reservoir of raw material and a market for imported finished goods. It calls for a competitive, adding value to our vast natural resources, but a continent of strong resilience and improved socioeconomic performance by harnessing science, technology, and innovation. It postulates a sustainable development agenda for Africa, anchored by the principle of common but differentiated responsibility, mutual respect, and mutual trust. To conclude, yes, much progress has been made in formulating the strategies for the post-2015 agenda, but unless we commit globally to a new partnership, to a new way of doing business, will undermine the progress to which we as all nations aspire. I remain optimistic that with the kind of consultations that have taken place around the world in formulating the new development agenda, that the new concepts that are being developed and the new realizations that we are all in this boat together as one humanity, not south and north, not poor and rich, I believe we can change the world. We can make a dent in poverty and hunger, and we can possibly eradicate both in our lifetime. May we strive to be bold in our action as we push forward toward a new agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The floor is now open for questions and answers. This lady has the floor, and she throws out more than a question. She goes praise-singing to express her delight for Madam Sirleaf.
Johnson Sirleaf, President of the Republic of Liberia, Madam Executive Director of the World Food Programme, Deputy Director General Maria Helene Sebede, Vice President Mr. Adolfo Guzzi, distinguished delegates from Liberia, distinguished delegates of the Rome-based family, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, Madam President, I perceive you as the modern-day Golden Meir of Africa. And to bring it even closer home, to my own country, you are Yaa Asantewaa, the warrior queen of Liberia, leading your people to prosperity. I've personally admired you for so long, and indeed I'm privileged that time and chance, and by divine election, it has been possible for me to meet you at last. Thank you very much for accepting to come to Rome and share your vision of the post-2015 development agenda with us. This agenda, we believe, will help build and shape the future of our nations. Having the singular opportunity of your presence here, Madam, however, we wish to make a passionate appeal to you. In your capacity as one of the co-chairs of the high-level panel of eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda, kindly take this message to you, to New York. I wish to emphasize that the formulation of the post-2015 development agenda will require sincerity, transparency, and equal partnership to ensure that a shared vision, direction, and commitment in the priorities we all wish to pursue. Your Excellency, Madam President, your vision that you have outlined to us this morning, we believe, ties in very well with our own vision here in Rome, as outlined in the presentations made by the Rome-based agency partners here represented this morning. We look forward to continuing this essential collaboration as we jointly seek to ensure a better future for the world and a better life for the world's most vulnerable and deprived. Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President, Franklin Tabula Zambia's ambassador. Madam President, thank you for your inspiring leadership.
And for this participant, the issue is very simple. He is concerned about the food that developed countries continue to waste and the constraints faced by poor countries to store and preserve food. And he closed his question with whether or not a woman president is the answer to the question of food security.
Madam President, thank you for your inspiring leadership. As the world marches towards 2015 and strive towards eliminating extreme hunger and poverty, the same world, especially the developed world, continue throwing millions of tons of food, while the least developed world wastes food produced. In some cases, 50% of this food is wasted for various reasons, like inadequate storage facilities, in other infrastructure facilities, like roads, to ensure the produce reaches the market. I fully agree with Bill Gates, who says the world has enough food to go around. Meanwhile, most of these countries, especially developing countries, are registering higher economic growth, in some instances 10%. But unfortunately, this economic growth is not translated in improved food facility, in reduced hunger and poverty. What are your candid thoughts on this issue? And do you agree that if more women were in leadership, especially presidents of countries, the world would be more productive and more prosperous? Your thoughts, Madam President?
Before tackling the issue of food waste, President Sirleaf gives an obvious answer to the question of whether or not a woman president is the answer to food sufficiency on the continent.
Let me take the latter with an unequivocal yes. I think the issue about food wastage is something that is a problem and a challenge for all our countries, rich and poor. The rich waste a lot of processed food in so many ways. And in our countries, the waste takes place at the production level because, as you rightly pointed out, the lack of storage, the lack of preservation. These are things that we are all trying to come up with the right solution to be able to do that. It's something that we must all work on. The inequities that come from a growth that's not sufficiently spread throughout the society is another challenge to make sure the distribution of increased per capita income reaches all. We hope that our transformative goals will be able to address some of these.
FAO and WFP.
And here now is a rather ecstatic War Food Program Executive Director, Ms. Cousin. It was a great morning for her and the 3 room-based agencies.
What a great morning. If I can take a personal moment here and say, today is officially 2 years that I've served as Executive Director of the World Food Program. So this is my party. But what makes it great is that I share this party with my colleagues, the other Rome-based agencies. And that was the commitment that we made 2 years ago, was that when we worked, we would work together. Because the beneficiaries that we serve don't know the difference between IFAD, FAO, and WFP. What they know is that we, working together, can ensure that they and their children will not go hungry. That we can provide the support that is necessary to ensure that we end chronic malnourishment. That, as Madam President has said, that we will, working together, continue to work to achieve the Millennium Development Goals over the next year as we move forward towards the development and implementation of the post-2015 agenda. I thank you all for being here with us today, because it is through your support, the support of the diplomatic community, civil society, the private sector, that we can perform this work together. It is impossible until it is done, so we will do it. Thank you.
If I can, thank you all very much for coming, and if I
The event is over. President Sirleaf and the World Food Program Executive Director go upstairs for a closed-door bilateral meeting.
Okay.
Before the meeting, President Sirleaf presents a special gift to Ms. Cousin. And for her part, Ms. Cousin has this gift for the Liberian leader.
This is heavy, so you don't need to hold it. Okay. But it's simply a token of our work together for the women and children. Oh, that's nice. And That's nice.
Very, very nice.
Thank you very much. It was very heavy.
It's going to be in a treasure place.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Stella,
Thank
you able to hold it in heaven?
And here is President Sirleaf and Ms. Cousin at the start of a meeting with Liberia's Agriculture Minister Chinwe, along with Ambassador Dr. Mohammed Sharif and University of Liberia President Dr. M.S. Dennis in attendance.
Come and save your child. Baby Earth is reeling and wailing and needs your tender embrace. Mothers of the